Welcome everyone. My name is Jeff Woolsey, Principal Program Manager for Azure Stack HCI in Windows Server. And I'm joined today by
Vijay Kumar. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Windows Server, and I lead the Windows Server business. It's great to be here. Let's start by giving you an idea of what we have coming up today. We have an exciting morning ahead. We have things to talk about, the product updates. We will talk to the experts. We will show you exciting demos, share customer stories, and we also have some contests and Q&A to mix it up. But first, over the last few months, we made some exciting announcements. We announced Windows Server 2019, which has become one of the more popular Windows Server versions ever. We also announced System Center 2019 in March to support Windows Server 2019 in your data centers. We announced Azure Stack HCI, which is our hyperconverged infrastructure product. We also announced the latest release of Windows Admin Center, which is a very popular management tool. And we just announced VMware on Azure to meet customers where they are.
This is really a huge announcement because we know that a lot of our customers run Windows Server and Microsoft workloads on VMware. So this is really exciting because now it means you can take advantage of the VMware vCenter management interface you already are familiar with, use those up in Azure, and make it really easy to plug those in to Azure resources.
And we're announcing the public preview of Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS support for Windows Server containers in public preview today. Kubernetes is the leading orchestrator for containers. With this, now you have the capability to use AKS to manage containerized Windows Server apps in Azure.
This is really huge because we know that people are taking advantage of containers, and Kubernetes is really the standard orchestration that folks are adopting. Well, with now support for Windows Server containers, people can build applications that utilize both Linux containers and Windows Server containers and use these together in the Azure Kubernetes service. So big announcement today in the world of Azure and the Azure Kubernetes service.
And coming up live, we have awesome sessions for you on hyperconverged infrastructure, a demo-filled session on Windows Admin Center, a quick overview of System Center 2019, and 3 ways to modernize Windows Server apps with containers. We also have deep dive sessions that you will be able to access on demand.
In addition, we have question and answers while you're watching. We have experts that are online right now. And of course, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Cosmos is going to take us behind the scenes, interview some of our developers, some of our folks that go ahead to make Windows Server the product it is. Really excited. We're going to have a lot of fun today. In addition, we have a really cool contest. So if you earn 250 points, you'll be entered in the prize raffle to win an Xbox or Surface headphones or an equivalent gift certificate. And we have 5 Xboxes and 10 Surface headphones. So you can earn points by completing the following activities: watching the live broadcast, taking the event survey, completing the knowledge check, and chatting with us in the QA window. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. And again, 5 Xboxes and 10 Surface headphones. And of course, this is an opportunity that we want to take a moment to say just a huge thank you to all of you, to our customers, to our partners, whether you're a hardware partner, software partner. We want to just say thank you because Windows Server is an incredibly popular product. It's one of the reasons we're doing this Windows Server Summit, is because so many of you came out and said, we really want to have something very specific, tailored for us that love and use Windows Server every day. So a huge thank you to wherever you are.
And a big thank you to our customers. Most organizations today run their critical workloads on premises. And when it comes to on-premises server workloads, more than 70% of them run on Windows. Windows Server supports a broad array of workloads and apps every day, including server roles like AD, DNS, file servers, print servers, Microsoft apps like Exchange, SharePoint, and SQL, line of business apps, or major ISV apps like SAP.
And there's a good reason for that. It's because one of the things we focus on is tremendous amount of innovation. Now, if you're looking at this and you're going, hey, I'm still in the Server 2008 or 2008 R2 camp, guess what? There's a lot of innovation that you're not taking advantage of. Whether it's data center scale, software defined, mission critical, cloud ready, new application innovations such as containers, or hybrid and hyper-converged, we've been making a tremendous amount of innovation, adopting that in Windows Server. By the way, that goes up to Azure, and very often Azure stuff comes down back on premises into Windows Server as well. And today, of course, we also have another announcement as well.
We're announcing Windows Server version 1903 in Insider Preview. This is our semi-annual channel version.
Yes. And with our semi-annual channel releases, these are focused on containers and application innovation that runs within the guest. So for folks that are building new applications, you're going to love all the new capabilities that are coming into 1903. Lots of container innovation, Kubernetes, network overlay, performance improvements, and so much more. So get your hands on the latest insider preview in the semi-annual channel.
And we discussed a lot about Windows Server that is powering your workloads on premises. But Windows Server technologies permeate everywhere. Windows Server technologies power Azure, Azure Stack, and Azure Stack HCI. So it not only runs your workloads as virtual machines, or guests as we call it sometimes, it also powers the infrastructure, the foundation.
That's right. And for you, that means not only having a trusted set of technology across multiple platforms, but also Windows Server is truly everywhere. Whether it's the infrastructure layer, like I said, whether it's Azure or whether it's running on hardware, or whether it's running in the virtualization layer, whether it's running in a guest, or whether it's running on the bare metal. Windows Server on Azure Stack or Azure Stack HCI, on premises on your physical or virtual machines, or up in Azure. Windows Server technologies, that is that technology that truly permeates on-premises, hybrid, and the cloud. Now, before we go on, I'd like to take a moment to talk briefly about my career journey. I entered the tech industry because I enjoy the creativity, the challenges, and the ability to make people's lives better. Let me give you one quick example from an email we received a few years ago. And literally, this is what it said. Good morning. Hurricane Sandy hit our area badly. Many downed trees, even on my wife's car. Flooding and total power cuts everywhere. We're very grateful that everyone is well. I want to thank the Microsoft Server team for giving businesses the new replication features. 2 of our clients, both whom cannot be without their infrastructure, were flooded in entirely and will take weeks to get back into their businesses. At 7 p.m. last night, we failed over their entire domains to the secondary replica site, and they've been able to continue their daily business with 0 interruption. Windows Server saved their business. Now, personally, being a part of the team that delivered these capabilities and help us protect you, that's one of the things that truly drives me. So throughout my career, one constant has been change. Whether it's been scale up, scale out, new hardware, new software, the explosion of data, change has been a constant. And we're in the midst of the next major inflection point, cloud. Now, a large portion of you have told me that you're embracing the move to hybrid and excited by the possibilities. I am too. I'm excited by giving you enterprise-grade technology with consumer ease of use and making it easy for you to enable hybrid scenarios when you're ready, on your timeline. We've asked you what you want from hybrid cloud, and you've told us you want the cloud for agility, to help improve your on-premises workloads, and to make your job less stressful and more productive. There's also a few of you out there that privately admit you're a little anxious because of the change. Take a deep breath. We've been here before. For example, we advised you it would be valuable to learn technologies like Active Directory, remote desktop services, Hyper-V, and Storage Spaces Direct. In fact, I remember being on stage with Jeffrey Snover urging you to learn PowerShell. These days, when I ask for a show of hands of who's using PowerShell, about 80% of the hands in a crowded conference room go up. That's awesome. If you've added these technologies and skills to your resume, you've made yourself more valuable. Well, the next wave of technologies is here. Windows Admin Center, hyperconverged infrastructure, containers, Azure Stack HCI, and of course, Azure. We're making big bets here, and I urge you to learn these technologies and embrace distributed hybrid cloud. Windows Server 2019 is taking off. It's building off the fastest, most widely adopted version of Windows Server ever, Windows Server 2016. And in fact, if you look at these 4 pillars, 3 of them are the same. Why? Because they resonated so loudly with you. Unprecedented hyperconverged infrastructure, faster innovation for applications like containers and more. Enhanced security. Those are 3 from Windows Server 2016, and we added a 4th because you asked for it. Hybrid data center platform. And so what does that mean? It means built-in integration with Azure Active Directory, backup, site recovery, storage migration, Azure Virtual Networks, making this as easy as a couple clicks away. And in fact, one of my favorite demos is VM replication. We're literally replicating up to Azure with a VM is one click. And you can see we're just going to continue to invest and develop in hybrid even more.
System Center 2019 is now available. It was made available in March, and its primary purpose is to manage your Windows Server 2019 in your data centers. System Center 2019 added several capabilities such as hyperconverged infrastructure management, hybrid management, which means it works really well with Azure management capabilities. It also improved management experiences by adding HTML5 dashboards and easy notifications. And of course, we added several performance improvements as well.
And there's a lot more to come. We've got sessions on this as well today. We're going to dive deep into System Center 2019 as well.
Absolutely.
And you can try it now at www.microsoft.com/System Center. In addition, of course, we also have Windows Admin Center, your new personal server management tool. And I want to take a moment to remind everyone that if you already own Windows or Windows Server, you already own Windows Admin Center as well. It's part of the license, so it's no additional cost. Well, what does this give you? So much. Windows Admin Center is the future of all Windows Server management. All of the new GUI, all of the new management features that we are building in Windows Server starting in 2019 and going forward are all in Admin Center. You can look for storage migration services, you can look for system insights. All throughout 2019 you won't find it. It's because the GUI is in Admin Center. It allows you to manage your Windows Server instances wherever they reside. Whether it's on premises in a physical machine, in a virtual machine, on Hyper-V, on VMware, in Azure, wherever Windows Server resides, I can manage it with Admin Center. And you get a consistent way to manage it, whether you're running Windows Server as with the full desktop GUI, or even a server core. You get the same management experience because you're managing it remotely from a web browser. There are no agents required. You literally download Admin Center, double-click, install it, and in less than 60 seconds, you're managing your server. So it's extremely, extremely powerful. And on top of just managing your Windows Server instances, you get more. You get hyper-converged management all through Admin Center. And I'll show you that in just a minute. You can also integrate with Azure with hybrid services, again, such as backup, DR monitoring, and so much more. And again, we're going to go through that throughout the day. But I want to take a quick moment to actually give you a quick demo of Admin Center. So here is Windows Admin Center, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually I want to click on one of these servers. So I'm going to go ahead and select this server, and I'm connecting. And you can see right off the bat on the overview page, I can see things that would normally be in a couple of different tools like Task Manager or System Properties. I can see my CPU, my memory usage, the OS version, the domain, the name of it, and so much more, all in a single glance. If I want to get some more information, for example, I'd actually like to take a look at, say, some of the events for this server. I can click on the Events tool, click on Security, and you can see I've got a long list of events here. Now, normally, I look at events and see 140,000 events. I'd be a little concerned. But no worries, because I have Admin Center, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Filter button here, and I'm going to remove the informational and verbose events. I just want to see the critical errors, the things that are really important, and I'm going to apply that change. And you can see very quickly, I actually have 0 items, so nothing to be alarmed about. I'm good from a security standpoint. Now, one of the awesome things about Admin Center, of course, is that we build on PowerShell. And one of the most common questions I get about Admin Center is, yeah, but you're going to require me to plug in, install an agent on my server. No agents required at all. Everything you're seeing here in Admin Center is using PowerShell and WinRM and WMI to manage your servers remotely. So as long as you're using PowerShell, I don't need to use any agents here. Well, once we told people that it was based on PowerShell, they said, wow, that's amazing. I'd love to see the PowerShell. So what did we do? One of the first features we implemented was this PowerShell button. And you can see all of the underlying PowerShell that we're using, for example, for this events tool. And so you can now copy and paste this, use this in Azure Cloud Shell, use it to deliver and build your own automation. So it's extremely powerful. In addition, Admin Center is also a platform. So we've made this pluggable. You'll notice that on the left-hand side, we've got all these different tools. Well, spoiler alert, every one of those tools is actually a plugin. When we launched Admin Center, initially that list was probably about half as long, and you can see we've just been adding more and more features. Well, in addition, we've made this pluggable to our partners as well. And you can see we've got partners like DataOn, partners like Fujitsu, and many, many more. Dell, Lenovo, that are all plugging in and give you the ability to not only see now the operating system, but as well as the hardware. So for example, if I reach out to a Fujitsu server or DataOn server, it'll give me all sorts of information about that specific hardware. And I can do things like monitor firmware, update firmware, see processors, fan speed, and so much more. So delivering an extensible platform with Admin Center. And a moment to say thank you to all of our partners that are plugging in. You can see DataOn, Dell EMC, Fujitsu, Lenovo, NEC, QCT, BitOps, Pure Storage Squared Up, and more. There is so much more coming down the pike, and we're going to continue to focus on making Admin Center the easiest and best way to manage your server wherever it resides. So the quick thing I always have to answer for folks is, well, how do Admin Center and System Center work? Does one obviate the need for the other? No, in fact, they work perfectly complementary together. Windows Admin Center is designed to manage an instance. So for example, if I want to add roles, add features, actually configure files, configure shares, update drivers, that's something I can do from Admin Center. If I want to deploy bare metal Windows Server to racks and racks of servers, well, that's something that System Center will do. It gives me the ability to do bare metal deployments, gives me the ability to do enterprise management at scale. But most importantly, they actually coexist and complement each other very, very well, and that's by design. And again, we're going to talk more about System Center later in the day. One thing I want to point out, so I've talked about hybrid, is let's also talk about another pillar, which is really the shift to hyperconverged. If you look at how we've been delivering traditional infrastructure over the last 20 some odd years, generally your racks of servers tend to look like this. You probably have a dedicated storage solution like a SAN, probably using fiber channel, which means then you need a storage fabric. You need fiber channel HBAs, fiber channel switches, cables, and more. Then you've got your servers for your hypervisors, you've got miscellaneous network appliances for your load balancers, gateways, and more, and then of course your top of rack switches. What we're seeing now is we're seeing a dramatic shift to hyperconverged, because essentially we can deliver all of this now using standard x86 servers, Ethernet switches, and the magic of software. Software-defined compute, software-defined storage, and software-defined networking. We give you all of those gateways, we're giving you a storage fabric, but we're doing it in a much more efficient, modern solution, and it's all managed with a consistent interface. And let me give you an example of one of those areas where we've made huge investments in Windows Server 2019, and that's with persistent memory. So if you remember the dawn of Flash, Flash initially shipped on a USB drive. In fact, it was USB 1, not particularly fast. It was about 12 megabits per second. Well, Flash easily exceeded that, so they upped it to USB 2 and USB 3. Well, guess what? Flash is way faster than all of that. So what did we do? We took that Flash and we said we got to move it to a different storage connector. So we moved it to SATA. And then in fact we moved it to SAS because Flash got faster than both SATA and SAS. Well, guess what? We needed something new. So we said, okay, we'll take that Flash and we'll attach it to your PCIe bus. Not a problem. Except that's in your desktop, that's not in your laptop. So we actually had to build a whole new connector called NVMe. Okay, so that's what's in your laptop. Well, guess what? Flash is now faster than NVMe. So we have another bottleneck. So what have we done? We've taken Flash and we said, fine, we're going to put it on a DIMM socket and we're going to plug it in right next to the processor. This is called persistent memory. Some people call it storage class memory, but persistent memory literally is sitting right next to the processor. And we can actually treat it as memory, we can actually treat it as storage, or we can actually treat it as a combination. We can actually divide it and treat it as both memory and storage. Well, the reason why this is so important is because when you take this persistent memory and you couple it with what we're doing in our investments in hyperconverged infrastructure, you get a tremendous, tremendous benefit. Which takes me to Windows Server 2019 and our close investments with the Intel Optane DC persistent memory. So as I mentioned before, our hyperconverged infrastructure consists of Hyper-V, Storage Spaces Direct, and SDN. Well, previously, back in 2016, we set an IOPS record of almost 6.7 million IOPS. This was done in September of 2016 using 16 servers running Windows Server 2016. To date, I haven't seen anyone even approach this record. So we were pretty excited when we said, look, Intel, we'd actually like to run that same test again using Windows Server 2019, but this time we'd like to use some Intel Optane DC persistent memory. And in case you're wondering, it looks just like RAM, except it's different. It's persistent memory. So what this means is it's high performance, it's native persistence. So even when you power off the server, it all still resides there on the persistent memory. Also, take a look at the capacity. 128, 256, 512 gigabytes on a single persistent memory DIMM, and up to 3 terabytes per socket. So this is ideal for things like hyperconverged infrastructure and large scale-up workloads like SQL Server. You better believe, by the way, the SQL guys are plugging into what we're doing in Windows Server 2019. So this has full native support in Windows Server 2019 and Azure Stack HCI. This allows us to cache and accelerate the working set for hyperconverged, and it's all managed through Admin Center. So enough talk, let's get to the demo. So first of all, the demo that I'm going to show you is this is actually 12 servers, not 16, 12 servers with 384 gigs of traditional memory and 1.5 terabytes of Intel Optane DC persistent memory. We're using 32 terabytes of NVMe storage running Windows Server 2019. And again, this is 12 servers, not 16. So here's Admin Center again, and here I am in the hyperconverged cluster interface. Again, this is all Admin Center. This is, again, you already own this. This is part of your Windows license. So if we drill in, we can see that I have a total of 12 servers that are healthy. I have a total of 72 drives. I have a total of 312 virtual machines. Currently, they're all off. None of them are running at all. In addition, I have a total, again, 14 volumes. And again, this is cluster-wide. This is not one server, this is the entire cluster. You can see I have a total of 91 terabytes of storage, and currently about 16 terabytes are used. If I want to drill into the servers, you can go to the inventory and you can see there are all 12 servers. You can see all the information is here right now. And if I'd like to actually look at the inventory of storage, we can actually group them by type. So I can see all of my Optane persistent memory here at the top. And what's interesting is, if you actually take a look, you can see we're using it as cache. And notice the size, 768 gigabytes. That's kind of an odd size for a cache. Well, let me let you in on a little secret. What we're actually doing is we're actually interleaving these devices. So we're actually communicating with 2 Optane DIMMs simultaneously, just like we would with traditional RAM. If we scroll down, we can get to the NVMe storage. And let me point out, at a little over 7.5 or 4 terabytes of storage per NVMe drive, you can see capacity on flash NVMe has really risen. All right, finally, let's scroll to the bottom of this, because this is where we're going to be showing really the demo, which is the overall cluster performance. You can see right now it's idle. We don't have any VMs running. And you can see our latency at 1 microsecond, not millisecond, microsecond. So the reason I point this out is because this is where we're going to be focusing and watching the demo. And again, the number we want to beat is 6.7 million IOPS. So I hope everyone's ready. We're about to get started. Vijay, 1 second. I need to fix something. Let me just tap. There we go. I needed that. Thanks. We needed an additional number. So let's go ahead and break right into this demo, shall we? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fire up all the VMs on node 1. Okay, we're just going to see what it looks like for a single server. We're going to speed this up because we don't need to sit here and look at a gas gauge. You can see 500,000 IOPS, 1 million IOPS out of a server. Vijay, what's really awesome about this is I remember trying to get 1 million IOPS a few years ago. To try and get 1 million IOPS, I would have a room filled with racks of disks, and hopefully, if you configured everything just perfectly, maybe you'd get 1 million IOPS. This is 1 million IOPS out of a single server. Pretty amazing in and of itself. Let's go ahead and fire up server number 2. Let's launch all the VMs. Let's get this fired up and let's take a look. So there's our 1 million IOPS. And again, we're waiting for the second set of VMs. They're coming online and you can see 2 million IOPS. And again, latency in the low teens of microseconds. So this is ridiculous. I could literally stay here all day and do this, but I know we got to get to other things. So we're going to go ahead and fire up the rest of the VMs on the rest of the servers and let's take a look. So again, the number we want to beat is 6.7 million IOPS. And we are just hitting 4 million IOPS. You can see the latency is still in the low teens. There's 5 million IOPS, okay? There's 6. There is 7 million. Okay, we hit 8 million IOPS. So you can see how awesome. Oh, we're not done yet. 9 million, 10 million IOPS. Okay, so we've officially hit over 10 million. Oh, we're not done yet. 13 million IOPS. So the new record is 13.7 million IOPS. And again, What is most amazing about this is we did this on 25% fewer servers. Think about this. We just doubled the IOPS with 25% fewer servers. And if you're interested, we've got this all written up on a blog, and you can take a look at all of the test details. And in fact, you can run these tests if you'd like. We've made all the tests available up on GitHub. So all of this work that we're doing in Windows Server 2019 for HCI, of course, fits right into what we're doing with Azure Stack HCI. And of course, let's keep in mind that we really have a family and a portfolio of products. Of course, we've got full Azure. Everything you need for PaaS, for SaaS, for IaaS, machine learning, AI, regions around the world. You need to build the largest, biggest, baddest global planetary scale application. Azure's got you covered. Then we've got Azure Stack. So if you want to build an application that's truly consistent with Azure, where you literally write an application to the Azure resource model, you can deploy it on Azure Stack or in Azure with literally no code change. That's really exciting for people that are innovating, building those new cloud apps. At the same time, we've got a bunch of people going, this is really cool, but you know what? I got a bunch of traditional apps. And I'm running on some really old servers, 5, 7, 10-year-old servers. These things are insecure. They don't have TPM. They don't have UEFI. They don't have secure boot. They're probably core limited. I'm sure they're memory limited, and they're probably running with spinning disks. Help me, Jeff. Get me to a new configuration that's secure, that allows me to connect and take advantage of what the cloud has to offer, and gets me to a hyper-converged world. That's what Azure Stack is HCI all about. And it gives you integration with backup, site recovery, and so much more. And this takes us to our hardware partners.
Right. We took all of the exciting capabilities that you showed, Jeff, of 13 million IOPS, and we put it into Azure Stack HCI. And we launched Azure Stack HCI in March. Now you can get pre-configured, validated, and supported Azure Stack HCI solutions from 15 different partners that are listed here on the slide. You can go to microsoft.com/Azure Stack HCI to get any of these solutions. You can find a whole catalog there that you can choose from.
And a huge shout out to our partners. One of the things I do get asked is, hey Jeff, can I DIY it myself? Can I build my own solution? And my answer is, well, yes, you can. Do I recommend it? No, I really would recommend you go with a hardware partner, and here's why. Number one, not only do they take our Windows servers, certified Windows Server, but they take it to another level. We have a whole battery of tests that they run for their HCI configurations, and they run these things into the ground to make sure that they're not only tested and certified, but these are validated solutions. So you don't have to think about, well, what's the right type of NIC? How many SSDs to flash do I need? What are the memory ratios I need to think about? Should I use iWarp or should I use Rocky, or can someone configure these and set this up? And that's just the configuration and deployment. Then there's also the support angle. Once you deploy this, you're going to want support. If you have a question or you want to expand, you can go back to your hardware partner and say, you know what, I love that thing you sent me. Can I get 2 more of those? Or can we build onto that? Or can I get more of these deployed in other parts of my organization? So yes, you can DIY it, but really we recommend that you take the time and take a look at our solutions that our hardware partners offer at our Azure Stack HCI catalog online.
We showed you a number of capabilities and innovations that we put into the latest versions of Windows Server 2019. Now I want to talk to you about Windows Server 2008 R2. Windows Server 2008 R2 was one of the most popular versions of Windows Server, and it is ending support on January 14th, 2020. Not to worry, we have options for you. If you're on Windows Server 2008 and R2, if you're running applications that are business critical or mission critical, you can easily take them as is and move them to Azure and run it on Azure VMs. And we'll give you 3 years of free extended security updates, so you can take your time to modernize, to either move to the latest version of Windows Server or to move to containers or other Azure services that are available. If you want to stay on premises, you can upgrade on premises to the latest versions of Windows Server 2016 or 2019. Finally, if you do want to stay on premises and you need time to upgrade, you can always buy extended security updates on premises.
Now, one thing I want to point out is we talk about people that go through the modernization process. One thing I wanted to point out, it was kind of a path that we generally see repeated over and over. Generally, with Azure, what we see people do is they say, look, I'm going to take advantage of Azure AD, I'm going to take advantage of Office 365. People start getting set up with Office 365, they get their identities configured, everything just happens there, and we see very quick success, and then they go, wow, that was really easy and great. What are the next things I can do? Generally, it happens to be storage. Can I take advantage of the unlimited storage pretty much in Azure to give me better support for backup, for replication, for data protection? Can I use Azure as a way to help me with that? Then we start to see people moving to the rehosting, which is, okay, I've got some old virtual machines, and you know what, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. So I have some apps still running on 2008 or 2008 R2, or even 2012. What do I do? Well, I know that these are still critically important to me, so at some point I'm going to have to modernize those and figure out what I'm going to do. But right now I'm just going to move them up and rehost them in Azure to take advantage, for example, of that 3 years of extended support, because it gives me a little bit of a cushion now to figure out what I want to do. And so people move those up into Azure IaaS. And now it gives you the option to figure out what you want to do. How are you going to refactor this application? Do you modernize that application and move it into a container? Is it a traditional .NET application? Is it a Java application? Is it some middleware that's headless? That's a perfect candidate for a container. Or do you want to say, you know what, I would just like to take advantage of the capabilities in Azure and write this and rewrite this as a platform, as a service technology, and then take advantage of more of the native services in Azure. So this is generally what we see in terms of the path as people look to how they want to modernize and innovate with Azure. So looking forward, I want to take a quick moment to say, what's going on with Windows Server going forward? So let's start with the insiders builds. We have insiders builds every 2 weeks. So anybody who tells me, Jeff, I don't know what's going on with Windows Server, the first thing I say is, well, get on the insiders list and you'll get full access to the next release of Windows Server. You can see what we're working on. That's Admin Center, that's a semi-annual channel, and it's the long-term servicing channel. Next, we have the semi-annual channel releases for Windows Admin Center and for Windows Server that we release twice a year. Now I want to focus on the fact that the semi-annual channel for Windows Server is focused on container innovation and for running in virtual machines. It's designed for applications. These releases come out twice a year and they're supported for 18 months. They're perfect for containers where you're literally just changing out a file. And again, we do this every 6 months. And then of course there's the long-term servicing channel, or as I like to refer to it, this is business as usual. This is how we've been shipping Windows Server for the last couple decades. Every 2 to 3 years, just like clockwork, we went from Windows Server 2016 to 2019, and I kind of feel like I'm announcing something here, Vijay, because we know when Windows Server V Next is going to be. It's going to be within that next 2 to 3 year time frame. So if you want to consider this a product announcement, you're the marketing guy, so as long as you're cool with me saying that.
Sure, as long as we don't announce the date.
I'm not announcing any dates, except that it's within 2 to 3 years.
Definitely. We are releasing Windows Server V Next in the next 2 to 3 years.
You heard it from the man. That's it. So we're going to keep that clock going just like usual. And LTSC, as a reminder, this is for your traditional applications like your Exchange, your SAP, your Oracle, your massive SQL databases. If you're using it for infrastructure like hyperconverged infrastructure, that's what LTSC makes sense for. That's supported for 5 years of mainstream support, 5 years of extended support, just like we've been doing. So again, that's what the roadmap looks like, and that's how we're going to continue forward.
So what are you waiting for? You can try Windows Server today. You can try it in Azure free. You can set up your free Azure account and get $200 of credit and a number of free Azure services that you can try. You can simply use Windows servers in Azure and not have to install Windows servers on any of the servers on premises. You can, if you want to move your production workloads to Azure, you can also save up to 80% using Azure Hybrid Benefit that is only available to Windows Server customers.
So if you want, again, you can download the eval version. You can run it on Hyper-V on your laptop. You can run it on your infrastructure and try it out today. The eval bits, if you're saying, hey, I don't have room for this right now, I don't have capacity, again, you can try it up in Azure and take advantage of your Azure free trial with $200 credit and 12 months of a bunch of free services. It's a great deal. We give you both options. So please continue to give us your feedback. Please become a Windows Insider. Admin Center, we give, like I said, every 2 weeks, we're giving new releases of Admin Center and new releases of Windows Server so you can see what it looks like and you can download the preview of the next LTSC. Please join the discussion on the Microsoft Tech community, and of course follow us on the Windows Server blog, on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. A whole bunch of us that you're about to see here in the Windows Server Summit. We're all putting our Twitter handles up there because we're up there very, very regularly. So at this point, I want to remind everyone again, don't forget we got the contest going on. So if you want to get into the raffle for a chance to win one of the 5 Xboxes or 10 Surface headphones or equivalent gift certificate, we've got that covered for you as well. So make sure you take the event survey, watch the live broadcast, complete the knowledge check, and chat with us in the QA window. And so with that, we're going to get ready for the next one. So thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy the Windows Server Summit.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, let's see a quick interview with some of our Windows developers. Take it away, Cosmos.